Those players come from other WNBA teams. That process is called an expansion draft. It happens anytime there are new teams added to the league. This year there are two new WNBA teams, the Portland Fire and Toronto Tempo. That expansion draft was held on April 3rd. Each existing team was allowed to designate 5 players as protected. That meant the expansion teams weren't allowed to draft them. Also, those teams were allowed to make deals before the draft. You'll see that no players were taken from the Chicago Sky because they agreed to trade picks from the draft last night instead. The two teams then took turns drafting from that list of unprotected players. Each existing team could only lose 2 players in total to the expansion draft. Also, each team could only choose 1 unrestricted free agent. There were some other considerations with salary caps when it came to taking players. And those teams made sure to leave room on their rosters for the league draft, where Tiani Key was selected with the 22nd pick by the Toronto Tempo. If you have a good question, just email us. Goodquestion@WKYT.com. I'll see you on WKYT Morning.